class. So next up, we are going to cut an onion. We're going to dice this onion. So let me show you how to do that. But what did we just finish up? Okay, so this is our last thing we did. This is a zucchini. This is slicing the zucchini, and this is maybe about a 1/4 inch thick is what I would say. So you try to make them as uniform in size as you can. So you could saute these things. You could put a little. Now, if you're going to cook them, one thing I do recommend is they're very. They hold a lot of moisture. So if you're going to cook them, then my recommendation is pat them dry as much as you possibly can, and then you could put like different kind of spices on it, maybe a tiny bit of olive oil, and then what you can do is put them in the oven, bake them, and they're really lovely in all sorts of I make grain bowls, so I put some kind of grain in it, and then what I will do is I'll put things like this. I saute some peppers, put that in with different kind of protein, typically tofu, chicken, something like that. Different sauces, and this is what I call a toddy bowl. So this is an assignment you guys will be working on in semester 2, kind of creating it after you've learned all these techniques. So that is what that is. So onion. Okay, so the trick to the onion, let's get rid of is it's got this kind of papery skin on the outside. So what we want to do is, we've got 2 different sides. We've got one that's kind of got this kind of a long end to it here. This is the end you want to cut off. You do not want to cut this one off on the bottom. You want to keep that there because it's going to stabilize the onion when you're cutting it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it flat. I'm going to take my fingers, put them around the onion like so. See that? With that side on the bottom, take my chef knife, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right through the center of it. So don't cut it like horizontally halfway through it. You want to cut it straight down through the roots, okay? So I'm going to stabilize it like so. I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to go down and through. Now I cut the onion in half. And this is, again, a wobbly vegetable. Now, it's not going to wobble anywhere. It's very stabilized. So, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the big hairy end of the onion. So, I'm going to cut this off. Get rid of that. And again, I'm going to get rid of the other side of it too. Okay. Now, you can easily peel off this papery skin. Just kind of take it off. Like I said, always having a bowl handy to put your scraps in is a really good idea. We're just going to peel it all off. Okay. Now I got one side of it. Let's do the same side, other side. This is what we call there's different kinds of onions you can get. There's purple onions, there's white onions. I like these. These seem to be a little sweeter. It's kind of a sweet onion. And I don't know, it just has a really good flavor to it. So I kind of prefer this. Okay, so now you have 2 sides, flat on the cutting board like so. Now, what are we going to do with this? So we're going to put this one aside for a second. Put this over here. Now, the trick is you want to cut toward the root of this. So this is the root. You want to cut toward the root, but not all the way through to the root. Because if you cut all the way through to the root, then it loses stability and it can kind of go around. Now, one thing you may notice as you're learning how to cut onions, your eyes can start tearing up. So one way to avoid that, and mine are starting to tear up a little bit, is you could soak this in some water, some just regular warm, cool water, and that will kind of take some of that out, where the chemicals that make you tear up won't be as severe. But again, if you get real experience with this, you'll cut this thing in no time and you won't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do, hold the knife again like so, 3 fingers underneath, stabilize it like so, and I'm going to cut down and across. Again, don't go too far through. I'm going to show you here, okay? So I'm going to how wide you cut this is really dependent on how big of a dice you want. So I'm not going to go through to the whole root. And just be very careful with your knife. And you just keep on cutting it down. Okay. Now, there is a technique which we saw Ramsey do, where he can cut them into the side. And for right now, I would discourage you from doing that, because if you do it this way, your fingers are here. If it slips, you could cut yourself. So I would try to say, don't do that yet. So what you're going to do now is, okay, so you got the onion, you cut it this way. Now you're going to rotate it, and I'm going to hold it, again, like a claw grip, hold it, and I'm just going to go and put it on top, and I'm going to go down and through. Down and through. Kind of point it down, cut down, and then push forward. Cut down, push forward. Just keep on repeating it, down, and then now, at this point, you kind of got a little bit of left here, so what you can do on this is you can then cut around this, stabilize it. You can cut around the root. Again, fingers away. And now all you have left is this little stub. That's all I have. And whatever you have left here, you can kind of, again, not a chopping motion like a guillotine. You're not going to be doing this. You're basically when you do it, you're pointing part of the knife, always on the board. It never comes off, down and forward, right? So this part, the scraps. Now, you've got some diced onion. And if you look at this, here is your dices. And some size, some might be a little bit bigger. Now, one thing I'm going to teach you also here is that is your dice. But if there are some pieces that are a little larger, then what we're going to show you is you can then take this and do a cross chop. Now we saw that in one of the videos. So what is the cross chop? Okay. So what you can do, and again, you could do the onion completely this way if you wanted to do so. It just takes a little bit more time. But what you do, again, you're going to hold the knife, same way you did before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stabilize the knife with the palm of my hand, fingers curled up, and I'm going to basically go in like this. Okay? Okay. So, and I'm just going to kind of go around it and kind of go like this kind of action, like so. Okay, so, and then what you can do is once you get them smaller, you can scrape them up. So, and if you notice they're falling off, kind of get it spread out, just kind of put them in. So your fingers can't get hurt by doing this. Your palm of the hand on top of it. It's kind of, you're not pushing down, you're just stabilizing the knife. You're kind of guiding it. You're kind of just going back and forth. Just keep on doing this until you get the size that you want. And again, one of the problems I have is my knife is not the sharpest. So I need to deal with that one day. In the meantime, you've probably seen chefs on TV doing this technique. You just keep on scooping them up until you get the desired size of the onion that you want. So really fine dice. Just keep on going and going and going. And you can keep on going as long as you want to get whatever the desired consistency is you want. This is the cross chop technique. And a little bit more. I want to get a real small dice. Small little, almost like a mince at this point. This is not even a dice anymore. This is a mince. So I'm just trying to get it really tiny, because as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to onion, I don't like big chunks of onion in my food. Even when I saute them and I caramelize them and stuff, I kind of like them small. And I don't really care for raw onion either. So there you go. So this is a minced onion. With the knife, you can be very careful when you do that. There you go, minced onion. Pretty good, huh? And that could be great. You'd put that in a little bit of olive oil, a little butter, throw in some garlic with it, and that could be the base for all sorts of dishes that you make. So when we get into recipes and reading recipes, you will probably often see that it will say you want either, minced onions. It may want to ask you for diced onions. It just depends on the recipe. So that is an onion for you. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second, and I'll be back, and I'm going to show you how to do the garlic.